Hi everybody, this is Belinda from Belinda's Book Nook, and I'm here today to do a book chat. I had talked to you guys last week about doing a chat on Cicely Tyson's Just As I Am, and for whatever reason it just took me a while to sit down and write down and think about the book in order to be able to talk to you guys about it. I actually loved it. I think it was great. There's a lot of flags here, like I said, quotes, just certain things that I wanted to kind of pull out and remember. So it was really good. So I think that she had a lot to say. She's lived a long life. And one of my favorite things, and I'll probably say this again, about this book is that she told her story, and embedded it into the timeline of what was going on in the country. And I've read my shares of, memoirs, and I think that I appreciate that, because I think that what happens, especially with people that we put on that celebrity pedestal, we just kind of think they live in a vacuum. Like they're just their life is just, oh, it's glamorous and look what they did. But she kind of grounded the story by giving you, timeline events, and you kind of could see her in that, and then think about, okay, what that might be like. For example, like the Depression. She talked also about, the era of the Depression. She also talked about Martin Luther King's assassination. She'd really, the civil rights movement, she just really kind of grounded you in what things were going on. And I think that made the story that much better. And I really appreciated it. I think that in the very beginning, it was a little slow for me, only because I think that I was not sitting with it. Like I always tell you guys, sometimes there's a point where you have to kind of sit with something a little longer for it to catch you. And it was giving her backstory, which was very important to who she is or was as a person. So you got to know about her childhood and her, her upbringing and her relationship with her parents and her siblings and things of that nature. I learned a lot about her. I had saw her in those movies, and when I was very young, and when you're a kid too, you also just project ideas onto people. So it was really neat to kind of see the background to that. I mean, she didn't intentionally go out to become an actress. She, was trying to make a great living for herself the best that she could, and she was doing a lot of administrative work initially, and then somebody saw her. It was almost like each thing was just kind of like, things were just happening, and then she would stumble upon and continue on into another, area. And then somebody saw her and then wanted her to model, and she became a model. And then somebody saw her and wanted her to be in a movie, which, she even talked about her resistance of, going into the movie. So I really found that interesting. I didn't know that she had has a school. I believe it's in New Jersey. I think that you, especially back then, you might not have heard about any philanthropy, any big endeavors is the way that we do now. It's kind of almost like the standard, like the PR that staff for entertainers and celebrities kind of say, okay, well, this might be something good for us to do, and they publicize it. So there was a lot of stuff that she had done that was just not necessarily promoted. So that was really interesting. What I told you guys also that I liked about this book is that I liked a lot of the things, like quotes that she, I thought that there was great quotes in here and things that also spoke to me. So I'm going to share a couple of them with you just to kind of also illuminate the book. So we are defined not by what grows from our heads, but what flows from our hearts. That is our greatest testimony. And in that particular aspect of the story, she had gone from her hair being longer and her relaxing it to she cut it really short. And she wanted to make sure she relayed the message that we have to kind of um, we have to learn to accept and be proud of who we are and what comes out of our hair. Whatever kind of hair comes out is the hair that we're meant to be, and to be embrace it. And there were some people that were like, why? She was very attuned to, when she picked a character, she really, really wanted to be that character for that moment in the movie. And when she would did that, she cut it because she felt like it was something that would be how that character would look like. And so I think that that was another aspect in terms of her, really, really getting into her roles. But within the American societies, particular, and the Black community, there is all of these issues with hair, and I think that for her to address it was great, because we still have a lot of things that are still kind of residual effects, I believe, from colonization. So the texture of hair, whether it's curly, where it's quote frizzy, or straight, and so she did address that, and I thought that quote was really wonderful in there. And then intimidation is a prerequisite to growth as an artist. I love that. Listen to it again. Intimidation is a prerequisite to growth as an artist. Every time, like I said, she had those different steps where somebody would say, okay, you should become a model. She kind of laughed that off. She's like, no, I'm going to make money doing the administrative work that I'm trained to do, and I'm going to, climb the ranks or what have you. But she leaned into it. She's like, okay, it's almost like she humored those things. And then she's like, okay, it's just she did it for a while. This is okay. But then when somebody said a movie, she didn't see that as a natural progression from a model to become an actress. And she said no and refused so many times. So I really like that, because I think that, that intimidation, that unsure aspect, you have to kind of really lean into it in order to grow. And I myself learned that this year when I was telling you all that I had to edit on Instagram for the Read Soul #ReadSoulLit. So there's moments where you feel like, oh, and it's the time when you need to lean in so that you can grow. Let me see. Water time. This one spoke to me personally. I like this one as well. It said, but when the people who gave you life have departed this earth, you enter a strange new corridor of detachment. You are untethered, disconnected from the two storylines that gave birth to your one. I love that. I love how it was written. Both of her parents eventually passed away, and it is that, my mom has passed on as well as my father. So I understand that. You realize when you lose a parent that they are kind of the anchor and the sun of everything, right? Particularly like my mom was always the person that kind of got us together with all of our cousins and aunts and uncles and extended family. And, we kind of just orbited around her, right? And then when that person is gone, you realize that you're kind of floating, and you like exactly how she described it, untethered, and you want to try to figure out how to ground yourself and how to reconnect. And it's different, and you just have to kind of accept that. So I love that one. The other one was, again, this one kind of goes along with the intimidation one. To soar toward what's To soar toward what's possible, you must leave behind what's comfortable. Same thing, like we were saying, you can't just stay in the comfort zone in order to really be able to do and to reach your maximum that you can be. You have to kind of become uncomfortable. This one I also felt, particularly this past year, was a prominent feeling as a Black person in America. This one says, during a good year, to be Black is to live with an ongoing hum of anxiety, a static ever-present beneath life's high notes. I'll read it again. During a good year, to be Black is to live with an ongoing hum of anxiety, ecstatic, ever present beneath life's high notes. I really think that one was, again, I really like to look at how people say things and the words. And I really think that um, that is true. You can never unknow or unthink those things, because I'm not going to never be Black. I'm always going to be an African American, and I'm always going to be able to be identified on site. And I always have thoughts that run along in the background throughout my day, particularly when I'm interacting with community, right? So I like that one a lot. And along that same lines that she talked about when she was talking about that, she did talk about Black Lives Matters and the racial unrest, particularly of today. And she said, we're not even allowed, and we are, I think she's talking about, Black people in the country, we're not even allowed our humanity when it comes to expressing the full spectrum of our emotions. And that's really true, because, with all of the things that went on this past year, as an example, it was almost a delicate dialogue, because you're constantly thinking, or you're constantly wondering if the perception of your expression of emotions is being taken as angry. And then you catch yourself and say, well, I should be angry. If you're sad, well, I should be sad. Frustrated, I should be frustrated. So you constantly have a mixture of emotions of how to present your emotions. And you should be able to do that. You should be able to do the whole range. It shouldn't be that, okay, well, this is what's happening, and there shouldn't be a detachment. Everybody should have that full emotional ability to express themselves. So I like that one a lot. Let's see. All right. I guess that's it. I just kept writing down stuff that she had. I really enjoyed it. And then when I haven't written over. I wrote this in pencil, and then I will ink it afterwards. But in this one, I put pictures from her movie, Miss Jane Pittman, from Sounder, when she received her two, I think those are Oscars, or those are Emmys maybe. And just pictures of her. So I put inside of the book. I definitely going to, like I said, I think probably at the end of this month, I will go through and give you guys a preview of inside this. I wasn't going to show you guys this in the beginning of the year, because I felt like, well, I haven't put anything in it yet. So I want it to be filled with some stuff so that you can have an idea of how I actually use it. But I really enjoyed the book. I think that she had great messages. She had a message directly to Black women in the story and the end of the book. It was kind of, sad when you reach the end of the book. She realizes that she's, was 96. She knew she was older, and that her time ahead was smaller than the time behind her. And so there is some that, feeling in the end of the story. I definitely think it was a great book. I think that you should read it if you get a chance, whether you do it for Women's History Month or you read it just in general. It's a nice look into a life that was very amazing. I really like the strength that she had. She didn't, despite all of the turmoil with her marriage to Miles, in a relationship with Miles Davis, who, was addicted to drugs for periods in his life, she always remained very strong in that. And I think I found it fascinating. Like, she always kept her own apartment, no matter what. So she always had that back place to go to. And some may think that is crazy, but I looked at it like it was not just an insurance policy for her. It allowed her to have her own, I like that. It was great. Read it if you get a chance. It was great. I don't even pay attention to how long I'm talking. I knew I wanted to read some of the quotes of what I've written in the story. Great book. I'm glad I read it for Women's History Month. I'm sad that she's no longer with us, but I'm glad that her manager was able to talk her into, writing it, because we would have missed out on a lot of very important information. So happy reading, guys. I will talk to you guys on Friday. Bye.